Sideliners, and welcome back to another episode. It is Rival Week, and we have somebody from Bills Mafia, if you can't tell from the hat already. You can find him on Twitter. His name is at Uber Hansen. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah,
Hansen?
that works. That works. Yep.
Okay. His name is Hans, and we are very excited to have him. We're going to have some fun. I'm a little nervous because Bills Mafia, they'll come hard for you. So don't hate me, Bills Mafia. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm phenomenal. I'm super excited to be on this show. I know I give Dolphins fans a lot of grief on Twitter, but I promise I can be impartial. Is that the right word? Impartial? Yeah, I think
That's
that's the
correct.
right
Yes,
word.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to be as impartial as I can be today. I'll probably throw a few digs here and there, though.
absolutely. Like
Same.
you absolutely should. That's just part of it all. All right. So I guess my first question to you is this question we've asked every single guest. Jen, have we gone one guest not asking this question? I don't think so. It's how do we beat the Buffalo Bills?
Yes. No, we have not.
We have not gone one
Um,
show not asking this question. So, coming from Bills Mafia, if you are the Miami Dolphins, what do you say is the way the Dolphins can beat the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can beat the Bills, but for the Dolphins, there's one particular way, and that's slow down Josh Allen and force him to make stupid decisions. Like that's the way that the Dolphins are going to beat the Bills. If you go back to the game that they did beat them, what 2 years ago, I think it was.
2022 week 3.
Yeah, in Miami, it ultimately came down to Josh just shorting a pass to Isaiah McKenzie. Like he just missed the pass. And I'll throw this out there to give a little bit of an olive branch to y'all is that game, a lot of Bills fans blame the sun, blame the weather, blamed all these other things. And to me, you can go back to my Twitter and look at it that day. I said, no, Dolphins outplayed the Bills that day. You outplayed the Bills that day, and Josh had a bad game. And so for that reason, like that's how you beat the Bills is you have to slow down Josh Allen and force him to make mistakes. If it turns into a shootout, honestly, I got to pick the Bills over the Dolphins every time because I've seen Josh do it. I haven't seen the Dolphins be able to beat Josh in a shootout back and forth yet.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that
Hans,
is
I
fair.
will say, I don't mean to interrupt you, Britt,
No, go ahead.
but I was at that game and I think the Dolphins outplayed them
Yeah.
100%. I would argue that it did come down to that little skirmish with Christian and Josh at the end, and then Josh took the penalty, and I think Josh lost the game for them, or I would like to say Christian won the game for them.
I,
But
yeah.
but that's my own personal bias, and I'm kidding. But I will say to you, to everybody complaining, and Dolphins Twitter won't like this. That was that was week 3 of 2022. Week 1 was the Patriots, and that was the first game actually I'd ever been to at Hard Rock. That's the hottest I've ever been in my life. Was the Patriots game. The Bills game, it, people weren't making excuses. It was ungodly hot. It was.
Yeah.
So I've got to give people that. Like, it was hot. Everyone can make fun of us and me and you and Bills Mafia and whatever, but I would say it was hotter during the Patriots game. But it was hot. There is something to be said for people complaining about that game. And I'm
But
from
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
it
Well,
also
I'll
is
take the
it's home field
advantage.
advantage. We
Exactly.
have to go up to Buffalo and get snowballs pelted at us.
Yeah.
That's
That's
your home
great.
field advantage, and just because you guys live in it doesn't mean it's not that bad. If you're down in Florida, our blood is thin down here.
Hmm.
That weather is not what we are used to, so it's much colder for us than it is for you guys, just like when you guys come down to Florida, it's much hotter for you guys than it is for us. So,
Hmm.
it's just home field advantage.
Yeah.
It
That's
I,
is.
I always say
I'm
this. I would rather play the Dolphins early in Miami as long as I get Miami and Buffalo late in the season. I think bringing Miami up to Buffalo is a bigger home field advantage for the Bills just because of that weather difference. Like it's one thing to go to really really hot weather, and it was that day. Like
It
that
was.
did impact the Bills. Saying that though, I still will argue the Dolphins played better than Buffalo that day. They
I
truly
agree with
did,
you.
and they deserve to win that game. And the weather can be part of the conversation, but the Bills fans that used it as the only reason we lost that game is absurd to me. So yeah, and as for Christian Wilkins, I'm so excited he's not on the Dolphins. He was the
I
one
know you
guy one guy every time that we played the Dolphins, I was like, I just don't want to deal with him. He's the one guy I don't want to deal with. And now that he's in Las Vegas, I'm ecstatic.
Do you guys play the
I feel you.
Raiders? Do you guys
No,
play? No, you
no,
don't. Okay.
no. Thank God.
Yeah, we miss Wilkins too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
um Speaking of defense, how are you feeling this year about your guys' defense? Unfortunately, you had Micah Hyde. We hate to see that.
Mhm.
He's down. Poyer, he's a smart man and decided he really wanted to come play for, us
Yeah.
down here in Florida. Come on now. How are you feeling about your defense this year?
Yeah, it's different. So we have a different defensive coordinator in Bobby Babbitt. Sean McDermott probably still mentoring him, whether or not the Bills are going to report on that. But there are some slight wrinkles, some slight differences in the way that the Bills are going to play defense this year. You'll see more man as opposed to just super primary zone. That being said, they try to add more speed on the back end. Unfortunately, they got banged up at safety. Their second round pick Cole Bishop still coming back from
Mhm.
injury. Mike Edwards still coming back from an injury. So DeMar Hamlin, the best story in probably football history, in my opinion, is now starting
Yes.
for the Bills. He
Mhm.
played well against the Cardinals.
You did.
I'll say from an overall perspective, like it's a defense that I can be excited about because it's different, and the Bills needed different after the way their past few seasons had ended, especially to the Chiefs. Is the Chiefs would just beat us up because they could just go over and over again to the same plays, and we were lacking the speed to keep up with them. That's what the Bills essentially tried to do this year, but their strength kind of showed out against the Cardinals in the second half. The first half was bad, second half was better. Is their defensive line? Greg Rousseau, their defensive end, looks completely different this year. He's gigantic to begin with, and he's stacked on a
He
bunch of
is.
muscle. He had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 6 total tackles. He was just phenomenal. He's probably going to finish the season as the
Isn't
Bills'
that
best defender.
isn't that almost
Did
better
you
stats that one game than he had, like he didn't have that how many sacks did he have last year?
Yeah, 5 sacks last year. So he had almost that total in this first game.
wait, what was his
Yeah,
stat
that's
line week
crazy.
one? 6
Against the Cardinals, there's 3 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, and 6 total
6
tackles.
total set.
Yeah,
I mean total tackles,
yeah.
excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
He's a beast, and I think he's always been a beast, to be honest
Mhm.
with you.
Yeah.
He's one of the dudes that Christian used to bring home to Springfield when they do their camps for kids. Not this past year, but the year before, he brought Ogba, Rousseau, and Raekwon. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
they
Mm,
trained together, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And Raekwon's gone too, right? He's
Raekwon's in Indy.
yeah.
We,
Come on in. Sorry, you're editing this, right?
yeah, yeah.
My ice is arrived. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
Her what is
Oh,
here?
be right there.
I think it's,
Ice.
her ice. Ice.
Oh,
She got ice delivered.
I'm gonna
Oh,
finish this whole bottle of wine during this show.
you're drinking buffalo wine. Let's show
Thank you. Bye.
oh
Journey.
wine as WHINE. Oh, I should while you show that, I will show this. The infamous photo.
I'm gonna have to get a special glass for the next time.
Sorry, I'm back.
You're okay. Mary is not here. She, benched herself for this
Sure.
episode because we were originally supposed to record last night. Miss
Apologize for
Jennifer
that.
was a little,
Hangover.
hungover. So we are
I'm
recording it
on
tonight.
vacation.
She's on vacation. Unfortunately, it didn't work with Mary's schedule, so Mary's out, but she asked if we could do this again in November, and we said, "Obviously, duh." You're in Fort
It's
Lauderdale right now,
full of
aren't you?
y'all. Yes, I am. But you know what? It's full of Hans.
I mean,
Ice. It's full
he
of
shouldn't have
ice.
given
No,
you the ice if
no,
he
you know
knew
what
you
this
were a
hotel
Patriots
is full of?
fan.
No, you know what this hotel is
Oh,
full
Bills
of?
fans, yeah.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
really? Jennifer, is
Yes,
it
Queen.
really?
Yes, Queen. Help me. Why don't you come stay with
Listen,
me?
Hans, I
Why don't
swear
you?
to
Why
God,
can't
if
you
you
leave for one
guys
night and come stay
make
with
it
me?
look like a home away from home game, I am going to lose my
Shit. This is my
Jennifer. Jennifer, how many Buffalo fans? are in your hotel
I
right
s
now?
Oh, plenty, shit tons, tons of them.
Hans,
Humongous ones. I've seen huge ones.
Humongous one.
Look at me.
I
We have
do like the Buffalo your guys' fan base is they're really incredible. Like,
they are.
they will follow their team everywhere, and maybe it's 'cause I'm not heavy in Bills Mafia Twitter, so I don't see, like, a lot of
Mm.
the negative things. The only time I really see, like, you guys arguing is if somebody I follow posts about it, but from what I see from Bills
Right.
Mafia, you guys are, like, 100% supportive, just love your team, love your players, you're 100% in full Bills Mafia. I don't know if that's actually how it is, but that's what I
Bills
see,
Mafia,
and I love
I
it.
think, is the most I would say people like the Bills fans the best in the Miami fan base. I think they
Mm.
like them even as a rival, I swear to God.
What? No. Are you
I don't
kidding me?
think
I'm
right
gonna be
now.
I'm
I don't
serious.
think
I'm
right now.
literally gonna be going to war with everyone on
Yeah.
Friday and Thursday
No,
night.
but well,
Are
yeah,
you
but not
kidding me?
like when we're
I have
no,
bookmarks.
not
I
when
have
we're
2 different
playing each
bookmarks. Bookmarks for if we win and bookmarks for if we lose.
but not
I'm
when
ready.
but not when we're playing each other, but I think like they respect Bills fans, whereas they just like clown Jet fans. Like it's a constant troll about how terrible they are. Patriots fans don't even exist, or else I would I have trust me, I have some. I got me a little group. But like but everyone always says even our group chat, people say like Bills fans are our favorite. Like Jets fans, it's
A
literally a
select
joke.
few. A select few.
There are. Like
They are
I
not
honestly
mine.
think
They're
that
not mine.
they
I
hate
don't
us
the
because
only
we
fan
are
base I
annoying.
love,
We are
all of
so
them, is
annoying.
ours.
No one's more annoying than Miami.
Hans,
We
who
have
are
the
you
most
saying
annoying fans.
who are you saying is the most annoying fan base?
The
The most
Us.
annoying.
Miami. It's Miami.
It's
I love
us.
us,
It's
but it's us.
Here's the thing. It has been Miami. The Jets have been bothering me a lot this year because they think too highly of that team, way too highly of that team, for what they are and what they're probably going to be. The Dolphins fans for a couple years, and still this year too, like there's a legitimate hope and a legitimate path
Every
for you to
time.
win the Super Bowl. It's just
Every time.
they die at the end of the season. I don't know. At the end of every season they fall apart. I don't know
okay.
why,
Uh,
but they do.
okay.
Let's address that.
Let's address it real quick.
Hmm.
It is injuries. It's not cold weather. It's not more difficult anything. It is injuries. That's our problem. It's not if we can play in cold weather. It's not if we can beat a winning team. It's
Not
literally our
just
injuries. And like
it's
I
not
want
just
to talk
injuries.
about this. Hans, you made a post about it. You post I
About
almost
injuries?
I almost want to take a break
Hmm.
and pull
Wait,
this
are
up
we filming or
real
are we
quick.
not filming? But this will
We
be good
are.
because
We are
Brittany
filming. But like
Brittany will use all the funny parts after. Like where we thought we weren't filming, but she was fucking filming.
Listen, I'm going to
And
go
I do
do
not
it.
question.
Cuz I want to make sure I quote tweet it right.
Let's hear
Okay.
it.
I have it bookmarked
Is this
actually.
the
And I
blaming
literally
injuries?
told you. I was like I'm bookmarking this to discuss.
But it just
Uh,
hasn't been injuries forever. They
Okay,
like
are
for
you ready?
decades, Miami has just fallen
yeah,
off at the end of the
hit
season.
me.
It's a picture of Tua. And
Oh well, this is
somebody
different.
posted a lovely photo of Tua with the caption, "Only one man can save us from this evil force in
Oh,
Kansas
yeah.
City." You posted this. You quote tweeted him and said, "Of the 4 quarterbacks who faced the Chiefs in last year's playoffs, the guy pictured below arguably had the worst game."
Hmm.
Do you wanna, give it any type of perspective why maybe he played the worst game compared to the other? Do you think it had anything to do with we had position groups completely wiped out? We had men, literally,
Hmm.
who haven't played football at all in over a year on the couch coming in days prior to play the Kansas City Chiefs nonetheless in negative 1,000-degree weather.
Hmm.
All
That
are both
was
of our running
yeah.
back 1, running back 2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. All 4 of them showed up to Kansas City in walking boots.
Hmm.
Our offensive line was decimated, gone. Do you think that Josh Allen, without any I can't even say Josh Allen because you guys would be like, "Well, yeah, he would just run the ball himself," which is probably true. Our quarterback wasn't doing that last year, all
Yeah.
right? A pure pocket passer relies on that. We didn't have any of that. So, yes, Tua did have a shitty game, but they're not excuses. There are reasons and there's what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Nuance and context.
Context. Thank you. There's context.
Yeah, I think everything you said is fair. I do think I can do the same thing for the Bills. I do think I can do the same thing for the Ravens. And then the 49ers, it's a little bit touch and go with Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy played a solid game. Not a great game at all, but a solid game. Um,
Yeah, he
I
did.
think a lot of people forget that Gabe Davis the Bills didn't have their wide receiver two at all. He didn't play that game. Their defense was completely decimated to a point where they had to call AJ Klein to come play linebacker, who had just rented a Winnebago to go on vacation with his family with thoughts of retiring. And he had
I
to
do
play.
agree with I agree with even the second game of last season. People don't give second Bills Miami game.
Week 18.
Like we as Miami fans don't give the Bills like we ask for credit in Kansas City and we don't give the Bills credit for how decimated they were with injuries in
Right.
that game.
That's
I,
true.
yeah, well, I think a lot of people also
They were.
forget too
They were.
that the Bills in by week 4 of last season had lost Matt
Lost.
Milano, their best linebacker, Trey White, their best corner, and
Yeah,
Daquan Jones, their best defensive tackle.
no, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
we didn't play them the same way we played them early in the season.
true.
It's a
I
different team.
I think
All I'm saying is when we ask for grace, we got to ask. We got to ask on both sides.
Yeah.
I think
But
Brittany's
I
right
also
though. Like the context is fair,
It
and
matters.
honestly, the weather does play a little bit of a role. But then again, Mahomes did just fine in it, and so I kind of take that with a
do you
grain
th
of salt a little
but if
bit.
you look at Mahomes' stats, do you compared to the rest of the playoff games or just the rest of the season or whatever, you don't think
Uh,
there's a difference there?
I I think I think the Ravens played Mahomes much better than any of the other three teams in fine weather conditions too. I think of all the teams, the one defense that struggled the most against Mahomes, which is typical of the Bills, was the Bills. I mean, the Dolphins didn't do much better, to be honest. But I think your point is fair. Like Tua does deserve a little bit of leeway, and I probably didn't give him enough. That being said, I think if I compare those four quarterbacks, I think it's pretty clear to me Josh Allen had the best game of the four. Then I probably go Purdy, and then I'm putting Lamar and Tua in the same boat as like Lamar always struggles in the playoffs too, so it's not surprising to
Yeah,
me. But I think that
Yeah.
the two of them are clearly below Allen and Purdy as far as performance specifically against that Chiefs team in the playoffs.
that's fair.
That's fair. I still think though
It
that you
is.
guys I think you're being a little harder on the Bills Chiefs game than I would because I literally think that the call of the your coach, he did that
Oh,
what
the
was
fake
it?
punt.
Fake punt. Like,
Yeah, it's Demar.
what?
Yeah,
Like, the worst thing you could have ever possibly done, you just did.
yeah. Yeah, I don't that call. I'm a stark defender of Sean McDermott too, probably too much. But in that specific play, I couldn't really defend that. Luckily, on the subsequent drive for the Chiefs, Jordan Poyer punched the ball out of I forgot which receiver's hands at the goal line, so it didn't result in any points. No points were scored on that drive
Mm,
because of
oh
Jordan Poyer.
yeah. Was it MVS? No,
Yeah, I
Um,
don't remember which
but
receiver.
I
yeah.
remember that
And
though.
then unfortunately, you had the
No, it
kicker
was a rookie.
situation.
It was a rookie because I feel like they said that's a rookie mistake that you reached it out and you should have.
Uh,
I feel like
Maybe it was
that, but I might.
Rasheed
Was
Rice.
it Russian
Maybe
Rice?
could have
I
been.
Was
think it
it?
could have been.
I don't
I
remember.
don't. I don't remember who it was. I just remember knowing that was a rookie freaking move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then our
Um,
kicker. Yeah,
and then the kicker,
yeah.
deja vu. Sucks. I don't want to bring that up because that sucks. That
I
really
think you
sucks.
did want to bring it up.
Yeah.
I had to throw it in there, you know?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about week 1. Oh, all right, let's talk about week 1. Here is Josh and Tua. I obviously threw in rushing stats because we know how much the Bills love to talk about rushing stats for a quarterback. So I did that just for you. Passing yards. Tua is leading the league in
Oh,
passing
this is the.
yards.
Okay, Queen. Mhm.
What was that, Jen? Yeah, this is from week
No,
1.
no, I just wasn't sure what the stat was. Thank
Attempts,
you.
completions, completion percentage, passing touchdowns, throw rate. Josh Allen, I saw this and I was like, holy sh
What rushing?
137.7.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
his
That's
quarterback rating?
yeah.
You want a stat?
Well, Baker's was higher than that.
Was
It
it?
was. Yeah.
What was
Baker's was
Baker's?
144
144. Baker
or something like that.
Baker
He
had a
threw for 4
crazy
freaking
game.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
Uh, This
I
was Josh Allen's second best passer rating since 2022. Do you know when his best passer rating was?
So it was against us.
Yeah,
Was yeah.
week 4 last year.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
I need you to fact check something for me.
Uh,
What
on
you're
Josh
saying
Allen.
that yeah, about Josh Allen. You're saying his best pass rating ever was what game?
It was week 4 against us, and I know this because I've looked it up.
Last year.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the playoff game against New England in 2021?
Yeah, so crazy thing about that. So perfect game. He was literally perfect. They scored in every drive. He had like 5
Mhm.
touchdowns. He did not
Literally.
have a perfect passer rating
Why?
because of his final touchdown pass.
Josh turned the ball over. No, he literally does not turn the ball over in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
So no one freaks out about him turning it over in the regular season because they know he'll have enough production. And so it's just not we're not in panic mode. And
Yeah.
when he gets into the playoffs, he locks in and he no longer turns the ball over. And this is what his freaking secret sauce is.
Yeah. Half his turnovers in the playoffs are against the Dolphins. Did you know that?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
Hans, what other stats do you have there? Come on, let them out. Let them
Oh my
out.
gosh. I mean,
We were going to be
he's
nice, and now you've brought guns to a knife fight.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have
Then you
many
went,
many
Uh-huh.
stats kind of lined up for
you
this
don't need
game.
him,
I,
but just any other like you didn't have any other just like 2-second elevator pitch. Josh Allen is your daddy.
no,
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
just
11-2 against the Dolphins in his
Yeah.
career. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
he kind of speaks for himself. I think all Dolphins fans are very aware of who Josh Allen and what Josh
Yeah.
Allen is. But who knows? Maybe this is the week they finally actually do get to him. I
I
doubt
think
it,
it's
but
gonna
it's
happen.
possible.
Listen,
I legitimately think it's gonna happen.
I
I don't know
think
why. I think it is. I swear to
yeah.
God, I think it's gonna happen. And I
And we
felt it. Week 3 of 2022, after the Patriots, and then after that Baltimore game,
you
I was
felt
like,
it.
"This is going to happen," and it did, and
Mm.
it was like amazing.
So we
It's gonna
have
happen. I think he'll
we've been
come
doing
back
like
later.
week by week predictions on the show, and this is a very, very split game. I can almost say 100%, 100%, not one person has said that we are winning in November. It's we
Okay.
100% everyone has said it's that's the Bills game. It's very split on this week, and
I change my opinion every week.
I still yeah, like I still don't know. I'll know the first quarter within a couple minutes.
But that's what's wrong with us, right? That's what's wrong with us. Like, I feel like we are on or off, and you know it immediately. It was
Hmm.
different. Like, and we can excuse everyone's week
But
one. Like,
you were
you're
off week 1 and you came back and won that.
exactly, and so were
We did.
you.
Yeah,
So were
You
you.
were right.
I
So were
literally
you.
tweeted like the good news is the Bills are also looking like ass, and then
No, but
both
still,
of our teams did come
I
back the
saw that
second
tweet.
half.
I saw that tweet.
yeah.
I
And
didn't respond.
honestly, no one has chemistry yet. Week
Hmm.
one, they just don't.
Yeah.
But I just feel like for whatever reason, I feel like I don't know if it's everything that happened. I just feel like, and it's the beginning of the season, and it's early. Like
It's literally
this is our.
this is our only time.
I think we're gonna win.
We are a team that is very injury
Okay,
prone.
thank you.
We have
Mhm.
all of our well, actually no, we may be down Raheem Mostert and Devon Achan, our 2 running backs.
Hmm.
So,
NBD.
to be
NBD will
determined.
be fine.
But listen, I'm not even worried about that because we have Jalen Wright. Like, let
Yeah.
that man
So
loose.
let's go. And you know
Yeah.
who else we have? Hefe. When we need him in the moment, we have freaking
Oh,
Hefe.
true. I'll say this:
Yeah.
the Dolphins need this game more than the Bills need this game. I think that's pretty fair to say, and the
Yeah.
reason is because of what you laid out. Is Miami has to come to Buffalo later this season. If they lose this game, then they need to win that game later in the year. If they win this game, they don't need that game later in the year necessarily.
Right.
So this is
Right.
very important for Miami, more so than the Bills, because I think the Bills can also lose this in a sense. And if the Bills lose it, they can just say, we'll chase them down again like we did last year. So, like,
Right.
this is huge for Miami. Obviously, as a Bills fan, I want this game bad, especially because our stretch coming up of games is ridiculously difficult. So we could dig ourselves an early hole if we don't win this game. But there's some pressure on Miami because starting 1-1, that's fine, like not a big deal. But losing to the Bills, I feel like that kind of changes the I don't know, like the vibes a little bit, where it's like, oh, we're right back where we were the past couple years behind Buffalo.
I'm not
So
gonna lie, it does.
It really
yeah,
does. It especially because we have that November game and,
It's
you
early enough
know,
though. That's not cold. That's
it's Highmark
you know,
Stadium,
as
like,
we
it's
both
that's not our
that
friend.
we give
They're
each other a
they're
solid,
not our
right?
friend. That stadium goes at least 20 decibels higher when we're there, at
I know,
least.
dude, I
yes, it
love it.
does.
You know that, I it's on my bucket list, a Bills Mafia tailgate, like, I wanna do it
It's
so
different.
bad.
It's very different.
And I'm here for you anytime you wanna do it.
Yeah, let's go.
I Girl, I'm ready. We're
I've
at
been
my
saying all
house. We
season, "Let's
can
go."
have an escort. Like, we'll be
Hans
alright.
will
We will
escort
survive
us.
this, right? We
Bring
will
our body
survive
back.
this. I can't
Yeah,
I'd love it. I'd
you
love it.
you will get Raz pretty good, but I'll say, I mean, there's jerk fans in every single fan base. There's probably going to be a couple. If you'll probably run into a handful of them at the Bills game, but for the most part, the fans are really good, and they'll give it to you. You can give it back to them. Where things could turn is if it got like the game got ugly. If the Dolphins went up by like 30 points, then that gets a little nervous. But I don't expect the Dolphins to go up by 30 points on the Bills at any point in the near future. So, yeah, highly recommend going to that
I'm
stadium.
not knocking on wood right there.
Okay, sir.
No.
No, I'm ready to go anytime you wanna go, Britt. I am
Yeah.
here for I'll go with you. I will go with you. She's a little
Do you
nugget.
think that would you say the Miami Dolphins games what is the most hype your stadium gets? Like, is it the
Right now.
Dolphins? Is it the Chiefs? Like, what is
Yeah, so it was the Patriots for a long time,
Mhm.
for obvious reasons. Lately, it's been the Dolphins, but it's only been the Dolphins because Kansas City never comes to Buffalo. In fact, the
Right.
first
That
time
was their
they've
first
played in
time, right?
Buffalo since COVID was
Yep.
this playoff game, and the fans were crazy that game, but it quickly turned. So I'd say right now the Chiefs are probably their number one biggest enemy at the stadium. But the Dolphins fan, thanks to Mike McDaniel, that's why the Bills go so hard during
What do
Bills
you
games
mean?
when Miami.
Yeah,
Oh,
why?
we
What do you
wish it were
mean?
colder?
I wish
We
is
wish it were
that
colder?
it? Is
A little
that
bit
He
it?
put
hotter?
that he put that shirt on, and the second he put that shirt on, all hell broke loose. They said, "You wish it
Really?
was colder? We'll show you cold." And
That
that's
was
where the
the thing?
snowballs came from. Yeah, that's where the snowballs came from. I'll throw this out there.
Okay.
I have a question for you too, and I'm interested to see
Oh.
how you answer this.
Ooh, I
So
love
I think
this. I love this
Mhm.
the
prompt.
first question I think is
Tell us. Hold
pretty
on.
easy answer.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Jennifer's getting
All right,
prepared.
who's the best player on the Bills right now?
Josh Allen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty clear. Who's
Yeah,
the best
very.
player on the Dolphins?
All right, we're gonna have different answers,
We
probably.
are. Are we going
Okay,
offense or defense? Because
No, best player. That's it.
just best player. Yeah.
It's
I'm
Tyreek Hill.
I'm going Tua because we can still
Okay.
win without Tyreek Hill on the field. I don't believe we can
I
win without Tua on
Interesting.
the field
Ma'am,
because
I
our
agree.
scheme, everything is
Is
built around
designed around
Tua.
him.
Yeah.
And that's true, but the question was just who is the best player? That's the reason that I said
And
that.
see,
I honestly
this is where my MVP talk comes in because it's like, is it the best
this is
player
where our
or is
old
it the
mind talk
person that's most
comes in.
valuable to the
Hmm.
team?
And I would agree with you on that, Britt. Like, we've seen what happens when we don't have Tua. I'm just saying who is the best player? Tyreek Hill to me is the best player, hands down.
I think we survive. I love Tyreek Hill so much. I've been getting death threats over him for the
I
past
know.
2
And I
days
don't.
because I'm
And I don't.
on
And I don't.
yeah, and so I love you, Tyreek Hill, but I don't think he's the best person on the field because we can and we've done so winning without him.
Hmm.
I think it goes to Tua. I really do. And I say that because we're not winning without Tua.
And I agree with that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I don't think Tua is the best football player on the team.
So The reason I asked this question, I'm going to
Right.
extend an olive branch because tend to agree with Jen on this. However, olive branch to Brittany is, and this is going to sound wild. I'm sure Bills fans will hate when I say this. I don't think that Josh Allen is as good in the Dolphins system as Tua is. I think Tua is perfect. Like he fits this Dolphins team perfectly. And I don't think Josh has quite the same skill set, especially the accuracy, the quick release, all this stuff where Josh wouldn't fit that. So I think Tua is uniquely valuable to the Dolphins. I do look at Tyreek Hill though as the best player simply because he's as a Bills
Is.
fan, he's the one I look at going into this game more than anything. He scares me because he
Yeah.
can just do something crazy and change the game in a second. Obviously, to do that, Tua has to throw him the ball, but Tyreek Hill in the open field is my nightmare. And the
Terrifying.
But we also
yeah,
have Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's forgotten about so
and
much
Jalen
because of
Waddle is
Tyreek
great.
Hill.
Yeah,
And I don't forget about him, Brittany. I like him better than I like
yeah,
all the
Then my
other players we
Penguin.
talked about. He's my favorite
Yeah.
mhm.
Like
Yeah.
remaining.
he's
Their
just as
offense is so
valuable.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I love him.
yeah.
I mean, Tyreek is just a different.
I understand. I do.
Yeah.
I get
But
it.
I
And I'm
also
saying
understand
I'm
what you're
saying
saying.
like I don't want to know this team without Tyreek Hill. I really don't.
Mhm.
Um yeah, but if we're
I
talking about winning, just winning, I I I throw the question back to you.
Mm.
Who if the Bills are playing the Dolphins, are you more confident? Like how are you breathing easier if Tua's out or if Tyreek is out?
Uh, Honestly, it's Tyreek. It
Really?
honestly is. Yes.
Have you
The
seen
and
our offensive line?
I'm gonna give you the reason behind this is
Skylar.
I think that the Bills are into his head a little bit. And until I see Tua like just have a great game against the Bills, and he has had good games. The game in December a year ago, I think I don't know if it was last season or the season
2 years
prior.
ago.
They went toe to toe in that
Yeah.
game, in the cold, and Tua was great. Josh was just a little bit better in that game. So I've seen Tua be great, but the
And
Bills
he
are
stunk
11
in
and
that game.
2. Like at some point, Tua's got to do something unique where he surpasses
I
whatever Josh is doing on the other side of the field. So that's why if Tyreek was out, like I'm looking at Tua and I'm saying until you prove me wrong that you can go and consistently beat the Bills, I'm not going to believe it. But I've seen Tyreek torture my team. Like I've seen him torture. Granted, it was with Patrick Mahomes for the most part. Tyreek terrifies me, literally terrifies me. So if you said take Tyreek off the field, so then it's Jalen Waddle and Braxton Berrios,
oh,
or you take Tua
Braxton.
off the field and it's
Braxton
Not good.
Berrios.
Not,
yeah,
not too
it's
good.
who's it? Is it Skylar
OBJ.
Thompson?
It
No,
is
it's
Skylar
Skylar.
Thompson, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is
Mhm.
Skylar. But Skylar had, to his
And
credit,
Skylar
had
literally almost beat the Buffalo
Beat up,
Bills,
yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
come on now.
and it wasn't Tua who was losing that week or not week 2, but game 2 in Buffalo. Like Tyreek had drops, other like some of the
You're right.
it wasn't Tua that was losing that second game in Buffalo before the playoff game
Yes.
where Skylar like
Yeah,
had us
Tua
toe
was
to
great.
toe with you guys.
Yeah, Tua
He
was
had us
great.
toe to toe with
Yeah.
you. He was.
And
I'm
I'll
just
also
saying, if you
mm,
objectively look at football players, Tyreek is the better football player, right? But then you don't exist in a vacuum. You
yeah.
exist in an ecosystem, and this ecosystem works like it works like it's worse when Tua isn't there than when Tyreek isn't there. That
Fair.
and that's true from what we've seen thus far, and that is true.
I I think
Maybe Tyreek not being on the field scares you less than Tua not being on the field because our offense literally, I don't know how we play a full game of football like Tua would
mm,
do
Yeah,
it without Tua because
mm,
our literally our whole entire scheme is
it's
built
built.
around Tua.
yeah, that's a good point too. I think I now I have my mind kind of going in circles here too. I think what it is for Tua with me is like I think like this coming game, like 28 points is my upper limit for the Dolphins against this Bills team. Like I think they can score 28 points. If I took Tyreek off, like going above that, I think it requires Tyreek to go off. And that's why, like, I think if the
I
Dolphins
can
score
ag yeah, I
28
agree with
points,
that.
if the Dolphins score 28 points, I still think the Bills have a shot. If they go above 28 points, I don't think the Bills are beating the Dolphins on Thursday. So for me, it's like I can take Tyreek Hill off the field and I lower the ceiling. If I take Tua off the field, I lower the floor. And I'd rather
Yeah.
lower the ceiling than lower the floor. I think that's a good way to approach it.
You'd rather lower the ceiling than lower the floor. And you know what
Yes.
else? That's a
I
great
can
point.
respect that, yeah. Oop,
Yeah, even like drafting wise, that's a great point.
yeah.
Mhm.
What is your like you have to have some kind of um position, right? So do you go for lower floor or higher ceiling?
Yeah.
And that's a question of like how big are your balls?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
You know,
that's the Josh Allen
you know what I
pick.
mean?
That's the draft pick of Josh Allen. Is it said
Yeah.
we know his floor is garbage. We know his
Yep.
ceiling is great, and luckily
Yep.
for Bills fans, he's absolutely hit his ceiling. He could have gone the other way. He could have gone completely the other way, and if he did that, Brandon Beam would be out of job, Sean McDermott would
Yep.
be out of job, and I would be a miserable, miserable person.
Well, we hate it for us, and we love it for you as other fans. Let's just put it that way.
alright, I'm
But I
going
agree. But there is a difference between the best player, period, in a vacuum, and your most valuable player, and that's a good. Honestly, that's like a good discourse on the difference between
I,
best football player in a
yeah,
vacuum and who's most valuable to your team
I think that's the
in
MVP
any given day.
debate all the time too,
Yeah.
right? Like,
yeah.
Yep.
who is
It
it? Who's the best
absolutely
player? Or
is.
is who the most valuable? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
because honestly, last year, if you're going by best player, it was Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill. Like, it was those
Yeah.
two. If you go by most valuable, I still don't think it was Lamar Jackson. But
No.
if you go by most valuable, it has to be a quarterback just because it's the most valuable position in
Right.
sports. So
I can get that.
Who like facilitates the production
everything.
and the
Mhm.
Yeah.
everything of the rest of all of your great players,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
with
literally
the
I,
exception of like
Jen and
players.
I did a show during the off season called Dolphins After Dark on Finside the NFL, and we actually talked about the, MVP last year, and I think we almost all said that, like, Josh Allen got robbed out of that, like, it should have
Yeah.
gone to him. He had,
I
like, a crazy freaking year.
Yeah, it was the week one game that took the award from him because he had 4 turnovers that game. But it honestly, if it was Christian McCaffrey, if it was Tyreek Hill, if it was even Dak Prescott, I was fine with it. Lamar didn't deserve that award, and I also, I I'm in like a never-ending war with Ravens fans. I love Lamar Jackson. He's my
I do
I
too.
think
So
he's
do
the
I,
third best
yeah.
quarterback in the NFL. He is so freaking good, but
No.
Ravens fans can't see, they have blinders on with him. Like they
Yeah,
can't see anything else, and it drives me crazy.
yeah. You can appreciate the goodness of somebody, and that doesn't come with having to tear somebody else down,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like, it's that
Thank you,
simple.
Queen.
I was trying to pull up the week 3 Broncos, because you just said like, "Oh, you guys can't put up 30 points if without Tyreek Hill on the field," but I'm
Oh well.
pretty sure. I don't think actually, I think that like majority of our games we were putting up 30 points last season,
I,
but Tyreek
I
Hill was also a huge
They
part of
were
that. I'm just saying I'm trying to think of games that stick out in my head. Okay, um,
where
week
they had crazy offensive production without
without
hit
Tyreek,
with
Jets
or without
game
him going
Jets
off
game
even.
30-0. Tyreek Hill did not play that game.
who was that against?
The
The Jets.
Jets.
And
And
it was
listen,
second.
you can't say it's the offense. We don't play the offense. We play
No,
the
you're right.
defense, and
You're
it's a
right.
No,
You're
top
right.
exactly
5
right.
You're right.
defense.
You're right. That's a great point.
But our running game was kind of going off, and then we just saw the Jets running defense. We just saw their
Oh, the Jets were
Yeah.
bad
yeah.
yesterday, which felt good. I think we all can
Woo!
agree
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
the Jets yesterday felt really, really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're
My
still
team's
being
pretty good. I
delusional.
love
They're still being delusional right now.
Yeah. Do you think the Dolphins will win a playoff game this year?
We fucking better. Listen, I'm gonna say it right now. The Titans' loss screwed everything
But
for us
you win
because
the division without that.
we win the
You won the division.
division, and
Yeah.
listen, I knew that we weren't with all the injuries we had, we weren't going past anything else. But we could have just played the Steelers at home, and we maybe could have gotten away with that win, and that's all that would have mattered. That could have shut everyone up because
Yeah.
we weren't going to go past that. right?
And then we go
Not with the
next year,
not with
next
the
thing.
injuries.
That's all we're
But
trying to do.
that's all you had to do, was just win that home game against the Titans so that we could play the Steelers at home and possibly win that game, and then it shuts
Yeah.
everyone up.
As a Bills fan, I'll say, and talking and being in with Bills fans, all of us were watching that Titans game, and we all had the same feeling. If they win this game, the division's over. We're going for a wild card, and that's the best we're going to get.
And you would
And
have
we're
gotten the
watching it.
Chiefs.
Yeah. And we were watching it, and all we could think was like, it's over, man. Because the Dolphins were dominating. And then it's like, it's Will Levis. What's he going to do? And then watching that collapse, honestly, that might have been, outside of beating the Dolphins in week 18, that might have been one of the best parts of the entire season, was watching that Will Levis game. Not
It
to rub it
Thanks,
in.
Hans.
it was very hard.
We
You
appreciate
you sit there for the last 2 minutes and literally, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, we turned the TV off and we sat in silence for, like, a solid 20 minutes without saying a word.
Yeah.
We just sat there like this,
Yeah.
and we
That was
couldn't
that was a rough
we
one.
didn't even have the words yet. We just sat there in complete silence.
But
What the did we just what just happened? Whiplash.
they made the
Whiplash.
playoffs 2 years in a row. That's a big deal. Like,
I hear
literally
it,
making the
yeah.
playoffs is a big deal.
It is.
I'm
It
not
is.
saying that as like the big
And
brother, like saying like, oh,
no.
it's a legitimately accomplishment to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I
we've
know
had a
that as a
winning
Bills fan.
season. We've had a winning
Yes.
season with Mike McDaniel. He's never had a losing season. We've done great with him. I think that Patrick Mahomes, and I've said this plenty of times,
Right.
He's a
Patrick Mahomes,
menace to
he's
society.
changed the idea of how quickly a team should develop and how
Mhm.
quickly a team should have success. It's these fans want instant gratification now. They don't want to allow things to develop and marinate and happen that way. So if you're not winning the Super Bowl that year, burn the place down, start from scratch. It's literally, and it may be different for your fan base because you
Mhm.
guys you guys do very well in the playoffs. But
Super
our
Bowl.
fan base literally wants to burn shit down. Like, I'm not even
Literally
joking.
start
The
over.
number one of the
Start
most asked questions for me was, is Mike McDaniel in the hot seat and is Tua in the hot seat?
Yeah. And they extended both of them, so the answer is
Yes.
no. I'll say I am slightly surprised. I'm not overly
About
surprised. Like, the Tua contract made sense. That's the team he's best for. Like, it makes too much sense for the Dolphins. The Mike McDaniel one, I'm a little bit more surprised about. And the reason isn't because I don't think Mike McDaniel's a good coach. I think he's a brilliant offensive coach. I mean, he's doing things that no one else does in the entire NFL, and he's revolutionizing offense to a point where the NFL has to even consider changing the rules to make it fair with the whole cheetah motion thing. So, that being said, though, he's made the playoffs twice, and the offense, and it's not fair because he had Skylar Thompson in one of them. The offense has
Eh,
struggled
right.
twice.
But
So
it does
we
suck.
haven't had
Yeah.
our roster.
You haven't had the roster. That's
And I'm
fair.
going to tell you
Yeah.
right now, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Our offense can take us to the playoffs. We better
Good
have a
point.
damn strong defense, and our defense was decimated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like, he's not in the hot seat anymore. He got the extension, but the
he never
pressure's on. The
he never
pressure's
was.
on. Yeah. He
No, they'll
needs.
still fire you right
I think
quick.
it's just yeah.
They
They'll
will.
pay you right
They
out,
will.
and they don't give you crap.
I think he's
Um,
got 2 years to win a playoff game. Like, he's for sure got 2 years.
I think
And-
I
And
mean,
I-
I don't want to speak too early, but
Mhm.
if we play the way we're supposed to play and we can keep our guys healthy and the people that are injured right now do come back when they're, towards after Thanksgiving, let's say that. Why can't we
Yeah.
just win one playoff game? Of course we want to win
Yeah.
more, but
Yeah.
we're taking the division this year. So
I mean,
And I wasn't saying it as a, like I wasn't trying to talk smack about him. I was just,
talk smack about who?
McDaniel.
Oh, no, you
Yeah,
don't.
no, not at all. I could just see how someone as an outsider would just go like, well, that's a little, just why now?
Are
But
you
like, Britt and I have been fully in the, there's no freaking way he's on the hot seat.
okay.
Yeah, no.
Entrenched. I don't think he is. Like,
And also
there's
Stephen Ross loves him, so
yeah, and I really love the idea of, and Britt, we've said this a million times. I have to remind myself, all the time that, like, as Britt says, Patrick Mahomes gave people feelings of like, if it doesn't happen in 1 second, burn it down and start over.
Mhm.
I have to remind the opposite of that, just like remind
Yeah.
myself that like people evolve and consistency
Yeah.
is it like it builds franchises,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
to have an identity, create an identity, and and then build upon that. I feel like I feel like that's something that was missing here. And whether or not you then end up paying somebody out, and I don't think that's going to happen whatsoever. Like we've been on record as like they're not on the hot seat, not even close.
Yeah.
Nobody, yeah,
But
no.
just to have the like security of the stability, I think is kind of a big deal. And to just say this is how we plan to go forward,
Yeah.
and we're all in on doing it right now.
So, Hans, my question to you is, do you believe that while we're talking about this people being in the hot seat and all that, do you believe a quarterback who is not a dual threat, who is a pure pocket passer, do you believe in today's age of football
Oh. Mhm.
that they can win a Super Bowl? Do you believe you have to be a dual threat quarterback?
It it's that's such a good question, and like one I keep kind of going back and forth on. The thing is, like, you got to, as a Bills fan, like, we have to get through Patrick Mahomes. And as much as I think there's this natural national perception that he isn't, he is a dual threat quarterback. He legitimately is. He's very mobile. He's
We'll
very
say
good
no.
at picking up first downs here and there. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's not the dual threat to the level of Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, but he is a dual threat quarterback. I, I'm I don't think you have to be. I think that you can have the offense that works like Kyle Shanahan's offense in San Francisco. Honestly, they should have won the Super Bowl last year. If it wasn't for a punt that hit Ray McLeod in the heel, they probably would have beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And Brock Purdy's a pocket passer.
Mhm.
And that Kyle Shanahan offense is awfully similar to the Dolphins offense,
Yeah.
and Tua is very much a pocket passer. I do think you have a much larger margin for error if you have the dual threat quarterback. And I think in the playoffs, sometimes you need that margin. Like if the Dolphins don't play perfectly for four, 3 or 4 games, like let's say they don't get the 1 seed, they're the 2 seed, so they got to win 4 games to win the Super Bowl. They have to be flawless, or Tua has to be flawless for 4 games for them to win the Super Bowl. Whereas somebody like Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to be flawless because he can do other things with his legs to extend drives, to keep the game moving. And Tua just doesn't, he's not as mobile as, you necessarily would want him to be, mainly because of the injuries he sustained in college. So to answer your question, I don't think you need it. I just think it helps an awful lot because that 4 game stretch it, it's so hard to be perfect for 4 games. So hard.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Tua had what was it? I think it was the second most rushing yards on the team last week. Granted, it
Okay.
was 11 yards.
It was
It was
11.
11
Okay.
yards.
Yeah, it was 11.
That's how bad our run game
But
was.
Wait, so
here's what
you
I'll
gave
say
me you
is,
gave me grief about the Bills receivers not
yeah,
having any receiving yards, and yet your quarterback finished second in rushing with 11 yards. Okay,
11 yards.
I
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Oh,
She's about
yeah.
that life.
Yeah.
But what I will say
No,
is, I
because
think
Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill combined, they had um more receiving yards than your whole
The
entire
whole roster. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Here's what I will say though. I don't think you need to be a mobile quarterback. I don't think you need to be not mobile, excuse me, dual threat
yeah,
to win the Super Bowl. I think you make a good point though about the fact that the
Yeah, very good point.
Razor's edge is so sharp
yes,
to win during 4 straight games. That's that that's so true.
Mhm.
And that any advantage you can have, whether it's, deflating footballs, LOL, just kidding. They didn't do it. But I just mean, but if they
They
didn't,
did.
that was
They
literally the
did.
weather. But
They did.
they literally didn't. It's the weather. But all I'm saying is, but
Mhm.
for real, if there's any tiny edge, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like using that as a funny example. But
yeah,
Yeah.
like, but to be perfect through 4 games against the best competition is ridiculously hard. So it does offer an advantage when you do have someone else. have a person who isn't just like exceptional at one thing and does have a little bit more in his bag. I'll give you that. But also then, we have we have Matthew Stafford winning one when he's
True.
like a million years
Right.
old.
Very good point.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
And,
they
like, look at how
speaking of that, like they changed like McVay changed his philosophy on the freaking offensive line
Yeah.
because Matthew Stafford likes the freaking pocket.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it's not static, and the way you can win does change and evolve and go through whatever. But I think you do bring up a good point, and
It is. It's a very good
it's just
point.
exceptional.
And
You know?
sometimes being perfect, honestly, if you go back and look at Josh Allen's 2021 playoff run, where they had the
Yeah.
perfect game against the Patriots, and then he
Yeah.
had that insane game against the Chiefs. If you go
Oh,
look at, he had 9 touchdowns in 2 games. He was
it was
essentially perfect. He couldn't
yeah,
have played better in that 2 game span, and they lost. And it's just
yeah,
one of those things where it doesn't matter how good you are if you just some part of your roster has that off game, which goes to the part of what Brittany said, that defense wins championships. Like the
Yeah.
Bills defense
I
just
mean,
doesn't show up in the playoffs ever. And it's so frustrating as a Bills fan and as somebody who I believe I'm watching a generational talent in Josh Allen, because he's freakishly good. He's
he is.
not as good as
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes, but he's freakishly good. And it just sucks that he's constantly looked at as like, well, he can't get it done in the playoffs. It's like he can.
He can, yeah.
We need
We
somebody
feel
else to
the
do
exact
something.
same
Give me
way.
somebody else to do one
I
thing, man. It's
yeah.
just,
I
We
100% agree
we
with
feel
you.
the exact same way.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
We really
to you know what I mean?
people who have common sense and aren't letting their, like, homerism show of
Bias.
the Dolphins know that Josh Allen should have won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it really is defenses. And me and Jen, we talked backstage like for like 2 hours one night about this. Is any team that's going to the playoffs, they already have a good their offense is already good. You don't have to worry about what the better offense is.
You're
It's
not
the
getting there.
defenses. The defenses now have to stop those good
Stop the
offenses. So
best. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
has defense needs to show up in these games. It's all about the defense. It might be a boring game, might be a very low
Yep,
scoring game, but it's going to come down to that.
Yeah. And
and it really does.
I'm a big proponent of, like, I refer to it as game wreckers. Like, you need a couple dudes on defense that are game wreckers. And to give the Dolphins some credit here, they do have game wreckers. Like Jalen Ramsey is a game wrecker.
I mean,
Javon Holland is a
that's
game wrecker. Like,
Herbert.
you
Yeah.
have those
Mhm.
dudes on the defense. Like, I know, I think Brittany,
Who
I
is
think you love
yours,
Zach
son? I'm
Seiler,
sorry.
What's
right?
that?
Zach
I
Seiler is
didn't
like one of your guys that you like a lot. Do I have that right, or is that
Yeah, we
somebody
love
else?
him.
Okay.
we love him.
Zach Seiler is
Yeah, we
really
love him.
good. He's not at that, like, he's not at that game record level. Like, he's not like an Aaron Donald,
No.
like a Quinton Williams. Like,
Okay,
he's very, very good, but
but
he's
no,
not.
who is an Aaron Donald? He's in a
I
league
mean,
of his
Nobody.
own.
literally no
He is
one's
in
an
a
Aaron Donald, but like,
exactly. He is in a league of his own.
Ain't
yeah,
nobody
I,
Aaron Donald.
I
But
would
I
say
would
like Christian Wilkins was a game wrecker. Like, he was that guy, and
he
they
was
don't
the Bills. No one wants to hear this, but he was the Bills.
he was the Bills. He was to us. But
He was.
you still have Jalen Ramsey and Javon. Like, I was writing up a piece that I'm going to end up releasing on, hopefully Thursday, I guess Thursday morning, about the Dolphins. And my two biggest fears on their defense are Jalen Ramsey and Javon Holland, to a point where I'm like, all right, we're not throwing to Jalen's side of the field, and we're not
Yep.
throwing deep if Javon Holland is patrolling back there. So we're going to
What do we
attack your
do?
linebackers. We're going to attack
But
Christian
Kendall
Fuller.
Fuller, like
Kendall Fuller, Kendall
There
Fuller,
is there as
yeah.
well. So
And Kendall Fuller's good, and that's why I'm looking at Dalton Kincaid. I'm looking at James Cook out of the backfield, and I'm looking at and I know a lot of Dolphins fans don't know this name yet, but Khalil Shakir against Kader Kohu out of the slot. Like, Khalil Shakir
Yeah,
is
we know him.
uniquely special.
Yeah,
you
we know
might be a
Khalil.
little shocked, but we know the
Okay,
Bills.
Yeah.
okay,
All right.
okay.
All right,
So
kryptonite. Come on now.
I do look like
So
you have limited the field for me, though, because you have two guys that I'm scared of, and that means something. And you guys have two guys I'm scared of. Where for the Bills, I really think I don't know. Like,
It's
Greg Rousseau is
liter
who I hope people will be scared of, but they're not right now. He's not at that level right now, so I don't really have a game record on the Bills defense at this moment in time.
it would have been Milano.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. And as
It's
someone
very unfortunate.
from Massachusetts,
Mhm.
that was
Oh yeah, he
terrible.
played in Boston. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love Matt
Uh,
Milano. Yeah,
I mean, like he's been really annoying to us,
He's been so
just
annoying.
as
And so is
and everyone will
honestly, like,
call him
I'm happy to face the Bills without Jordan Poyer as well. Like,
which is a big deal.
me
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
Me too.
And you guys like that. The thing is, like, I liked what I saw from Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp, the Bills safeties last week, but it's a different animal when
It
Tyreek Hill's on the field, and I'm
Yeah.
terrified that they're going to attack the Bills deep, and that Taylor Rapp and
we are
Damar Hamlin,
we're gonna
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna abuse them. I'm
it's
sure of it.
their
I'm
football
sorry.
IQ isn't at the same level as Hyde and Poyer's was, so
Correct.
you can play
All right.
tricks
So
with them, and that's what's going to be. I could argue that Damar Hamlin and Taylor
all of
Rapp
that
right now
can't
are more athletic than
actually.
Poyer and Hyde were last year. I can
It
argue
doesn't.
that, but the
You think?
intellect is not there.
Mm,
Oh yeah, I
I
think
mm.
actually
yeah.
love that you brought that up.
Mhm.
Like just like legit football IQ. How long have you played? What
Yeah.
Yeah.
like this is like, and this is what bothers me about, and just getting back to what Brittany said about didn't work, tear it all down.
Yeah.
This is what drives me insane. Like consistency, a team first philosophy, a
Mhm.
commitment to fundamentals, communication, just like just working together as a team and
Yeah.
having an identity
Yeah.
and having that is a huge deal. So that's why when we were speaking about the Tua and Mike McDaniel contracts being extended, I love the idea of it. I don't give a shit if it pans out or if it fucking they fall on their face. I love the idea that you are committed though to saying this is who we are,
Yeah.
this is who we're going to be, this is how we're going to build around it, and this is what we're freaking doing. Because you can't just flip flop constantly all the time. Like
Mhm.
you have to have an identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know for us, the only way we are beating the Bills, what I believe, from
Mhm.
my very amateur opinion, whatever you want to call it,
I mean,
is
go
we keep
off.
Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen he's a threat to us on the ground, and he's a threat to us in the air. So we just have to limit Josh Allen's time
Yeah.
on the football field. We take our sweet time out there and we limit him on the
Mhm.
field. What do you think is the way that the Buffalo Bills are winning? Is it also Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things?
Well, one, you deserve way more credit than you're giving yourself.
Yeah,
When you threw out the
exactly.
amateur thing, like you know more than a lot. I follow you on Twitter and I've seen
Oh,
you
thanks.
tweet and like you know what you're talking about.
I
So
would say
one, you deserve that credit.
Thanks.
he
Two,
does.
when it comes to what you just said, I agree. Like you have to limit Josh Allen has destroyed the Dolphins for years, so the only way you're going to beat the
We
Bills
know
is if
this.
Josh has a bad game. So the question was, how do the Bills beat the Dolphins outside? Like, let's say it's outside of Josh Allen. Let's assume that Josh Allen has a mediocre game and doesn't, do his typical thing against the Dolphins.
I guess this is a better question. Do you
Hmm.
see the Bills beating the Dolphins without Josh Allen? Is it
Uh,
Josh Allen?
if
Is
you
he
took
not
him off the
coming?
field, if you took him
Is
off the
he gonna be
field,
there?
Yeah.
I'll pick the Dolphins today, but he
Oh,
will
okay.
be there.
So that's what
Are
I'm
we
saying. It's
playing Mike
Josh.
White?
No, we're playing it's the Dolphins
Yeah.
because,
I'm just kidding.
they're
No, I mean Mike White is
he
his backup.
Oh my god. Okay, I
What?
wanna talk about that too
Sorry.
because I literally forgot about that for a
Do you know
second.
why
Yeah.
he's our backup?
Because you wanted our because what's his face? He openly said,
Girl,
"Oh, we've been
that's
trying to
okay.
figure
How
out the
many times did
Miami
I see it? They're
Dolphins
like, we
offense
don't need his
forever, and we can't
playing.
figure it out." And then all
Yeah,
of a
he's
sudden
not
you pick
playing.
up our
I'm like,
quarterback who knows
Oh yeah.
wait.
cheaters. You're a bunch of
There's no
cheaters.
cheating there. All legal, all fair.
First of all,
Snitches
shout
get
out to my
stitches.
shout out
Who said
to
he snitched?
Oh, come on. He had one job and one
yeah,
job
he's
only, and that is to
snitching.
hand over our
He's
playbook, and that's it.
snitching.
I think he just didn't want to play against Matt Milano ever again after Matt Milano nearly killed him when he was on the Jets. But that's a
That
different
Listen,
was that was
he what a little snitches get
listen,
stitches, that's
hoes.
all I'll say.
Let's just give
He
some
literally
respect to
he
the
came to the
OG
Bills just for our
of
play, just to
stealing
hand you guys the
playbooks.
playbook.
Oh, Bill with his little spying that he does. Sits
Thank
up in the,
you.
yeah, I know what you're talking
Thank
about.
you, Hans.
Who?
Thank you.
Bill
Who the
Belichick
hell
with all
is
his spying,
Oh, yeah.
constant cheating.
that?
Yeah.
We don't know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay,
Look at her.
so I'm gonna throw that my answer back here.
Okay, yes.
I'm gonna assume
Got off
so.
track.
Josh Allen's gonna play,
Okay.
but let's assume he just has an average game, like he doesn't go off like he normally does. So can the Bills still beat the Dolphins? And my answer is yes. And how do they do that? It's their defensive ends, and it's not their defensive ends necessarily getting pressure on Tua. It's the defensive ends getting their hands up. And the Bills are good at that. They have AJ Epinesa led the league, led defensive ends in
Batted passes?
batted ball last year. And
Yeah,
Greg
it's fine.
goes, his nickname's literally Groot because he's essentially a tree. So if you're going to try those slants from Tyreek or Jalen right off the edge, as long as AJ and Groot have their hands up and do connect with the ball multiple times, I think that's a Bills' path to victory. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I think Mike McDaniel and Tua are fully aware of the
Yeah,
issues that they would have at the edges with those two. So they're
Mhm.
going to try to change the game plan to affect that. But if those two edge rushers in particular can affect the game, not by getting sacks, but by knocking down the
bring
ball,
them
I think that's how Buffalo can kind of sneak out a win if Josh doesn't do Josh things, which he's dealing with what we believe to be a broken left hand,
Yeah.
which is a big deal. He was wearing a glove today in practice. So when he drops back, he's essentially going to have one hand on the ball at all times. So that's a perfect opportunity for a player like Jalen Phillips or Emmanuel Agba. If they get to him, they're going after that ball every single time
Yeah.
because he can't grip with the left hand right now. And so
And
turnovers obviously can change the game quick.
we've had a lot of, obviously losing Christian Wilkins was a massive deal for us. So
Yeah.
we've had a lot of questions about our defensive line. I'm not as hard as on the defensive line. I have more faith in our defensive line than I think a lot of people on our fan base want to give credit for. A lot of people say, "Look, I'm still worried about it."
Yeah.
I'm not so much worried about it. Here's what I think. Um, Calais Campbell was a part of the incident that
Yeah.
happened, before our game, and I think that this really brought our team together.
Fair.
Um, so I think that even if our defensive line may have some issues, I think that they're gonna come out and they're really gonna play for each other
Yeah.
Thursday night. So, we shall see.
I I think
I
that's
just need Josh Allen not do Josh Allen things.
yeah.
Like, that's all it is. It's really Josh Allen, like and then he will ball he himself can change the momentum of the entire
Mhm.
game. So it
I'm really interested to see if the Dolphins release like when they drafted Chop Robinson,
Mhm.
that seemed like we need a Josh Allen killer. And we need a guy that can keep up with him when he hits the edges.
Well,
And
we lost both of our edges.
Van Ginkel, yeah, and
Well, no,
and Jalen Phillips and
Jalen
Bradley Chubb
Phillips went
too.
on IR
Yeah,
with an Achilles. Chubb,
yeah,
almo very end of the season
true.
in bullshit time with an ACL tear. He's still on IR, like, he's still not
Yeah,
playing. It's, crazy that we have Jalen Phillips right now. We didn't think we were. At the
yeah,
time of the draft, we had no edge
true.
rushers, so that's
Yeah,
I'm sure that's
they
why.
have to like. It's such a weird game of cat and mouse with Josh. Because in a sense, you almost want to keep him in the pocket and give him as much time as possible, which
You
sounds
do.
crazy because he'll overthink it. Like that's the biggest issue with him in the regular season is he gets sugar high and he overthinks it. So keeping him in the pocket and letting him have time back there, as long as you have the DBs, which the Dolphins do, to keep up with your opposing receivers, you'll be okay. When he breaks out of the pocket and all the stuff behind the defensive line breaks down, where Josh can just dominate, and I
Yeah,
just think in this game, the Dolphins' path to winning is to keep Josh in the pocket
it
and then
is.
hope that the guys behind the defensive line hold up and hold their coverage and force. You got to force a couple turnovers. Like one, the
Yeah.
Bills probably survive. You force two, you get Josh in his head. Force three, force like
Let's go 4.
you get
Let's go
multiple.
4.
You get multiple. If I see two turnovers, I think
You
I'd say
would.
this: two turnovers, the Dolphins win this game.
Mm,
Two from Josh, not like if James Cook fumbles,
yeah.
it's not in Josh's head. Two from Josh,
Yeah.
Dolphins win.
Mm. Jen, you were being way too still, and I was like, "She's frozen. I know she's frozen.
Oh
She's
no,
being way too still." Then boop.
it totally died. It just died.
Nothing brings Dolphins Twitter together quite like a Bills loss.
I'm aware.
We could like be at each other's throat all week, and then the Bills lose, and we just brings us together. It brings us together
Yeah.
more than like us winning. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, that's
true.
probably true.
Yeah.
That's it.
So as much as you guys were celebrating that Titans win,
Yeah, fair point.
we unleashed after the Chiefs win.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
gonna
every
lie.
year.
I
It's every
literally, I
year.
literally thought that that was your guys' year to win the Super Bowl. I'm not even gonna lie. Last year, I was convinced. I would.
I thought it was
I
just
didn't.
such a great story too. Like
Mhm.
I mean, not Patrick not having receivers. That wasn't it. I just meant like it just not looking like it, and then them like catching up from behind.
It
You know
was
what
your
I mean?
defense.
Just felt
It
like a good
like the
story.
defense really
Yep.
fucked you
Yep.
guys. It really
It
did.
With
always
the
does.
defense
It
that
always
was
does.
like
Yeah.
decimated.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
weird thing is like
Yeah,
our defense in
and
the
that's what I
regular
mean.
season is
Yeah,
they're
totally.
so good. And when we play the Chiefs in the regular season, the Bills are 3-0 against the Chiefs in the regular season the past 3 years. Our
Mhm.
defense shows up in those games, and then the playoffs happen. It's like either
Yeah.
we're
But
injured,
you're
so that affects it,
injured.
or we just completely collapse. Oh
Hans,
man,
we've
it's
never heard that kind of narrative.
We love having you on. You're like one of our faves from Bills Mafia.
It was
I
awesome.
appreciate it.
It's been fun. All right, let's end this with what is your score prediction?
Ah. So honestly, and I'm not saying this to butter you two up, I can see it going either way. That being said, I've seen it go the same way for a very, very long time. So I have to pick the Bills. I'm going to say 28-24 Buffalo. I
Ooh,
think it's close. I think Josh Allen just does too much where the Bills can't catch him, or where the Dolphins can't catch him.
right. Jen?
All right. So I'm gonna say fabulous having Hans on. Loved it. You were
Yeah.
amazing. You were impartial. It was great having you on for real. Um
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be a relatively tight game, obviously.
Mhm.
I think the Dolphins are gonna win.
Okay.
I do.
Duh.
I think we're going to win. And we can talk about this, in November later on. But I would
Mhm.
do like you wanted them to get 28 to win, right?
He doesn't want them going
Mm-hmm.
over 30.
Because my, all right,
Yeah.
all right. Let's do 36-28.
I think that Saran Neal and Jordan Poyer are gonna come here.
Okay.
I kind of forgotten that you guys have Mike White because he's so forgettable. Nope, that's so mean. Don't say that, Brittany.
Ma'am.
That's so mean. Snitches get stitches. Um, I think that they're really going to help our locker room because I really, truly, truly believe that this is more of a mental
Block.
Yep.
thing than it is like just a talent thing. And I think that our mentality is getting shifted. I'm putting this as we're winning. We're going over 30.
42.
I think, but I'm saying this because we're not winning in November. I don't believe. My heart cannot handle another sweep. So we're winning this. We're going over 30. That's my final prediction.
I was anti Tua until after 2022. I went from being a Tua hater to somehow defending him suddenly on
A
Twitter.
lot of
And
people.
I say that as people like I know that Brittany's probably seen me, and like I do occasionally
Why not?
shit on Twitter,
If you're a good
shit on
quarterback.
Tua. But that
Yeah,
being
you better
said, like
shit on him.
I also constantly say like he's a top 10 quarterback to me, and there's a lot of Bills fans that are like, "There's no way he's top 10." I'm like, he is top 10.
He
You
is
know
top
who he's better
10.
than? He's better than Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah.
and that gets people all riled up. And I'm like,
And he's
I
better
watch
than
Trevor
Justin Herbert
Lawrence play.
too.
Bent out of shape
Oh,
about
Herbert, that's the one. I'm
How are you going
so
to say,
I'm
compare
close. I'm really
compare their
close.
stat
I'm
lines?
I'm really really close to saying that he's better than Herbert. I'm not.
there
I
yet.
need more. I need more,
What do you need?
but it's
What do you need?
Really good.
watching Justin Herbert play football. Like I see so much. I see everything. He just hasn't put it. And to be fair, like right now, his best receiver is Lad McConkey. Like
But he
Do you
had
want to
he's
talk
gonna.
about who
oh,
Tua's
he had
receivers were? Do you want to talk about
He had
But
all
right
the
now
gifts.
it's Tyreek.
prior?
But
Prior.
but Justin Herbert, well, that's
Yeah.
fair because Justin Herbert's rookie season he had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams,
Hello.
and he put up like 30 something touchdowns. Yeah,
Wait, Austin
So-
Eckler.
and
Yeah.
Eckler was
Don't
great
you
too.
forget about that.
Here's my turning point. I'll give you my turning point where I'll say Tua is better than Justin
I didn't
Herbert.
mean to be a jerk. We weren't ganging up.
No. This is fine. My turning point for both of them, I need one of them to show up in a big moment.
I will
and
You
like
don't think
do
we did
something in a
we
big
don't think
moment.
we did last week?
No.
No,
Nobody's
week one. No, I don't care.
Week one.
I need
Fuck week one.
week.
But I'm just saying, like,
If
no,
Tua,
no,
if,
we're going to
if,
talk about it. We're going to talk
Mm.
about it because
Okay, girl,
all last
yeah.
season, all we heard was that the Miami Dolphins could
Right,
not
girl.
beat a winning team. That Tua cannot take his team to the next level. Tua can't put the team on his back and do anything. Guess what Tua did?
But-
We came back the second half. He put the team
True.
on. He helped do that. That was Tua.
I need Tua to just like. I'll give you this: if Tua had, and I don't think wins are a quarterback stat, so this
They're
is
not. They're
fair.
not.
If the Dolphins had beat the Bills in Week 18 last year, I would have not hesitated to
Week
say that
18.
Tua's.
That's really hard. That's really hard.
But-
Week 18,
but I would've
we had half of our roster on IR. That's not
but I
fair.
would.
Like,
That's where I would have said guaranteed that Tua is better than Herbert.
But Hans, I have to.
that's
I
not
have
like
to come
that
to
is
your
that
defense
is
now.
insane. That's
No, but
insane
they
because
had the
what's
game
an
in hand.
Easton Sticks, a quarterback I've never even fucking heard of,
They-
almost beat the Buffalo Bills.
No,
He
but-
did. That game was
So
terrifying.
come on now.
No,
Yeah,
but
it
week
was
18,
terrifying.
that game was in hand, and the Dolphins gave it away.
But that's
They did.
This is
They
my
did.
thing.
They,
It's like
they gave it away. They
Jennifer,
lost,
we were missing half of our roster.
but Brittany,
but-
Brittany, we needed to have adjusted since the Tennessee game, and that goes
I
to coaching.
understand. I
that
understand
goes
that, but
to
this is
roster
not Tua's
building, that goes
fault.
to
This isn't Tua's
everything.
fault. This is
I-
not
and I'm-
Tua's
I'm not
fault.
talking
This
about
is
I'm not
not Tua's
saying-
fault.
I'm not talking about Tua.
I'm not
talking
saying-
about
But we're
the
talking.
Dolphins.
He's saying that's
Oh,
what he's
no, no.
saying.
Oh,
he
I
needed
apologize.
for
Yeah.
Tua.
No.
Oh, my bad.
I'm not
I didn't know
saying.
that.
You're
I'm
fine.
not
about the
saying I'm blaming Tua for the loss. I'm saying I have two quarterbacks I look at and I see like
My bad.
from a pure gift talented standpoint, I look at Justin Herbert and I'm like, you're more physically gifted than that guy is, and I see so much potential in you. And like I'm almost like I constantly go back and forth in who I think's better, Herbert or Tua. I just want one of them to show up in a big moment. It's not me saying that like the Dolphins losing is necessarily the reason why I have Herbert ahead of Tua. It's more just like Tua carry your like if you could carry your team, or if Herbert did the inverse, if like Herbert against the Jaguars in the playoffs in the second half when
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence
Yeah.
had 5 turnovers in the first half,
Yeah.
like Justin, go freaking make a play. Just go make one play.
One.
And same with Tua against the Chiefs. Go make a play. Like I just need one of them. To me, I guess
up.
it's not fair for me to say I have Herbert ahead of Tua. It's more I have them both here.
And you're
One of them's got to do something where show me that you have that extra thing where you're
That-
like, I
that
can go
dog.
carry me,
It's always
like carry the
X factor. I
team.
totally agree. That
And
dog. That's right.
There's just I haven't seen it, and it's again, I'm
think-
way higher on Tua than most Bills fans, but I got to see him do it in that big like clinching moment,
Honestly, I
like
think
win that
we all
division,
are.
win a playoff
But
game,
literally,
do
like
something.
that is any Dolphin fan
think it's
who
we
has
all are.
doubts about Tua. That right there, what you just said is the reason that they have doubts about Tua.
Mhm.
Tua has always been very great of breaking whatever narrative is about him. And
True.
every year, there's always going to be a narrative. The media loves to hate him, but when the media talks about Tua, they go viral, and it pays their fucking.
Hey, this concludes our bench.
You did great. Keep going.
Apparently, Brittany's putting me on the blooper reel for trying to say thank you so much for joining us on Sideline Tea this week for Rivals Week. We had Uber Hansen joining us from the Buffalo Bills Mafia. We actually had a pretty respectful and fun conversation about how we're going to beat his ass on Thursday night. But
Yeah.
just kidding.
He said off the record that he's shaking his boots and
Like this. Thank you so much for for coming on with us. Thank you so much for your You said from the beginning you were trying to be respectful, impartial, and I
Impartial.
respect it. You absolutely were. Appreciate the rivalry. Love how fired up this gets both of our fan bases.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than freaking Miami Buffalo right now.
Yeah.
So LFG,
Yeah.
let's go. No Hard Rock Sun, no Orchard Park,
Snowballs.
Lake Effect Snow.
Yeah,
Ain't no
No
snowballs.
OSHA.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a real football game, a real fair and square football game, and let's
Let's
like
go.
be about the trenches and let's go. Let's see who wins. LFG fins up. Let's go. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Hardline TV viewers.